Mr. Chairman, Ms. Ranking Member, distinguished members of the committee, I really appreciate your focus on this issue and the chance to speak. Bread for the World is a Christian advocacy organization that focuses on hunger in our country and around the world. And we haven't traditionally done much work on biofuels policy, but like you, we're struck by we're in fact alarmed by the dramatic increase in world hunger in just the last year. And hunger and poverty are increasing in our own country right now. So we're grappling with the biofuel issues in the same way that this committee is. And I'm glad to have a chance to talk with you about how we're thinking about it. I think I should focus first just on hunger in the world, hunger in our own country, what we think Congress can do about it, and then the role of biofuels and biofuels policy in that picture. The increase in world hunger, as Senator Lieberman and Senator Collins both discussed, has just been alarming. The world's been making progress against poverty. But this sudden and unexpected run-up in food prices, especially commodity prices, has reversed the progress against hunger and poverty. The commodity prices are what the killer, because the futures prices for the basic commodities, wheat, corn, and rice, have all shot up by something like two-thirds over the last 12 months. And poor people in developing countries spend the bulk of their income on a commodity. So they don't buy cornflakes, they go and they buy corn and they grind it up, or they buy rice and they put a little vegetable and salt with it. That food is maybe 75% of their diet, or 75% of their income, and rice or wheat or corn is 75% of that. So it's the rapid run-up in commodity prices that are killing children in developing countries and causing riots in many countries. That's caused by various factors, as others have said, by crop failures in some places, by increasing incomes in Asia. That's the good news. A lot of Asians are eating better. They're eating more and they're eating a little bit of meat. That drives up commodity prices in the world. The high fuel prices are part of it. And then the shift to biofuels is part of it. Estimates vary on how much of the cause is the shift to biofuels. So IFPRI says 25 to 30% according to their model. The Food and Agriculture Organization says 15 to 20%. That seems kind of vaguely consistent with what Dr. Babcock found from the way he worked at it. Administration officials last Thursday, when the President announced request for additional food aid and agricultural development assistance, they estimated that the increase in corn-based ethanol accounts for only 2 to 3% in the increase in global food prices. So the extent to which biofuels are driving up food prices is controversial. I take Dr. Babcock's point that the increase in biofuel production is not only driven by policy. I think what's incontrovertible is that the shift to biofuels, and especially corn-based ethanol, has helped to drive up commodity prices. And there's a direct link, immediate link between higher commodity prices and the increase in world hunger. In our own country, too, hunger and poverty are on the increase. We have seen increases in poverty in this country since the year 2000. So even in good economic times, poverty has slightly increased in our country. And right now, low-income people are being buffeted by a number of things. Higher food prices is one factor, not the kind of dramatic increases in food prices that poor people in developing countries are seeing, but a significant increase in food prices, especially for those foods where the commodity is a big part of the food cost. So locally baked bread, as opposed to bread that's shipped from Timbuktu or someplace, that kind of, because the wheat is a big part, or milk, or eggs. The price of eggs has gone up 29% because eggs are mostly corn. So we've seen some increase in food prices, especially rapid increases in those that have big portions of commodity in them. But as Dr. Babcock says, mostly what we buy in the grocery store is not commodities. We buy other stuff and marketing and processing and transportation. What's also hitting poor people in this country is higher fuel prices directly. They got to fill their gas tank. They've got to heat their house. The unemployment has gone up somewhat. The credit market has tightened. So we know that hunger is increasing. We know it mainly because if you go to any food pantry, any food bank in the country, they are swamped with people coming in need. Now, how to respond to that? The two main things that need to happen are, first, we need to increase food assistance to people and other kinds of assistance to people who are hungry. And then we also need to have a more dynamic, responsive agriculture. On the food side, the Farm Bill is the immediate way to deal with this. And I'm pleased the conferees have agreed on a $10.4 billion increase in food assistance. But they just a few days ago killed the House's proposal for an $800 million increase in the McGovern-Dole International School Feeding Initiative. That doesn't make sense. Within the Farm Bill, you can also get more food to hungry people overseas by reforming food aid, because more than half of our food aid dollars go to a handful of shipping companies. So you can reform food aid in the ways that President Bush has suggested, and you get a lot more food to hungry people in a hurry. The farm part of the Farm Bill is also important because the U.S. should be providing leadership for a dynamic, efficient, responsive global agriculture. It's global agriculture that can bring down food prices again. But in fact, what the world has is a nation-by-nation, highly managed, highly protectionist agriculture. Many developing countries have slapped on food export limitations, but we're in no position to preach to them because our agriculture is also highly managed and protectionist. And the President is right to insist that Congress take a turn, set a new direction in farm policy, and make it clear that the future of global agriculture is not big subsidies to wealthy landowners. So reform in the Farm Bill. I hope the Congress gets that job done. We need a Farm Bill desperately. We need a better Farm Bill. But reform in the farm part of the Farm Bill would also be a way to address the global hunger crisis. Finally, on the biofuels issue, I don't think that the arguments for the mandates and subsidies and the tariffs are very strong. I think it's another example of the power of special interest politics. The environmental and the economic arguments I don't find convincing. And the increase in hunger is cause, I think, to reconsider. It's not just the next 12 months we're thinking about. The mandates would increase demand for corn-based ethanol over the coming years. So it seems to me there is cause to reconsider here. Now, the ethanol plants and ethanol production have revivified a lot of struggling rural communities. So this isn't simple. You know, people have changed their lives. They made investment decisions, including a lot of poor people. And you can't just turn around the next year and say, well, we're headed a different direction. So, but it seems to me that the increase in, nobody expected this sudden increase in food prices. Certainly nobody wants to see lots of people going hungry. So I think it is right that you are asking the question whether we could modify, slow down, reconsider our biofuels policy. The connection to domestic hunger is not a very strong connection as far as I can see. It's one factor. That poor family also has to pay 30% more for eggs than last year. But it's the connection to world hunger that's clearest. That you have a lot of babies dying in developing countries. And our biofuels, our switch to biofuels, has been one factor in making that happen.